Okay, we start in 5 minutes, yeah? 4 minutes, yeah? 3 minutes more. Assalamualaikum. Good morning.
Morning, Doctor.
Morning, Doctor.
Hi. All are good?
Good, Alhamdulillah, good.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay. Right, so today is our third lecture, second week of the semester. Okay, Monday morning. In the way of to recap what we have done, what we have covered last week. Okay, I already explained on the chapters, teaching plan what we are going to have for the semester, and also covering part of chapter 1. Okay, so for today, still I'm meeting some of your friends now. We have 25 students. In my list, the current list, the updated one is 30 students, right? In this SMP. Already covered halfway on chapter 1. So for today, I'm covering, I try to finish on chapter 1. Sometimes I'm possibly talking too much, okay, and will drag some of your time of the lecture hours, okay. Hopefully it will be benefit for all of you lah, to give some example, to explain on the slide, okay. The second half of the lecture, because we have 2 hours today, will be on the chapter 2, project planning and scheduling. Right? Can you hear me very clear? Okay, yeah?
Yes, doctor, it's
All
clear.
right. So it's already uncovering on chapter 2, hopefully today. And on chapter 2, as I mentioned before, okay, it will be more hands-on, okay. And then it will be more on the drawing. And from the drawing, we know the spirit behind the project planning, okay. And scheduling, where we have to manage the time, because time is one of the factor that influence on the project success, okay. If you have a time delay, project delay, then it will affect on your project success, okay. If you still remember on the quality triangle, on the triple triangle, sorry, which is quality, time, cost is the main factor, okay. And those factors may influence on your project success, okay. So that's why in project management framework, in the standards, for example, project management body of knowledge, okay, PMBOK, you may find that is planning and scheduling is one of the main concern, okay. Right. So for this lecture, hopefully we go for that, and then for the next one on Wednesday also on the scheduling, but we go very detailed on the method and also technique can be used to help the developer, in terms of managing their project scheduling, okay. It's very important, okay. Seems like for example, I did mention on the example before that when you plan a project, okay, time is one of the important. That's why you have to plan a project, okay, any project, okay. For example, building a construction, right? Okay, building a house, okay. So between the owner, the house owner, and the project the contractor, okay, they should plan very careful, because they don't want to delay the project. It will be also effect on other factor, like the workers, right? The human factor, or even cost, it will affect it, okay. So the project, software project, okay, software project also affected on that particular factors, okay. But in a way of we focus on the project management here, software project management, we go detail, because it have a certain factors that may have slightly difference, right? Okay, that is on the introduction lah. Right, so as I mentioned, I will go for the chapter 1. I will continue on chapter 1. I'm opening chapter 1 now. So on chapter 1 here, I've gone through, for those who first time joining the class, possibly you just managed to register for the course maybe. Okay, so this is chapter 1. I already upload chapter 1 and also chapter 2 on your Putra Blast. You can access later. Can you see my slide now?
Yes,
Can you see my slide?
Yes.
Alright. It's quite long, 45. But actually inside chapter 1 also some overview comes from other chapters. Just a very brief introduction. Okay, in terms of general overview about software project management. Okay, what I'm stopped on on Wednesday is on this one. Then already the difference between software project and other project. Okay, this is on the management activities done also. Okay, there are 5 activities in general about on managing the project. Okay, project planning, reporting, risk management, okay, people management, and also proposal writing. Okay, in general. Okay, and in what I'm going to have now to explain now is on the slide 26, which is on the project management spectrum. Okay, this is also overview. Okay, some of the example even I'm already give throughout the first introduction on the previous classes. Right. So on the management spectrum, what we call is 4 P's. Okay, which is people, product, process, and project. Okay, the following slides, okay, will explain all these 4 P's. Okay, people, what is people, who are the people, okay, how the people manage the project, okay, in what way, okay, and how also people factors affecting the project progress, the project performance, the project success. Okay, even we have one dedicated chapter later on the human or people management. Okay, because people here means that the the parties or the stakeholder. What I mentioned before is the stakeholder, because stakeholder they have a certain interest or importance to the project. Okay, let's say you have you here means that if I mention you in the class means that you as a developer, okay, not you as a student, as a developer, because mainly this course aim at you as a project developer, right? Software project developer. Okay. So in that case, in that case, in that case, so all my family are in the house. Okay, sorry about that. My I have 3 daughters. All of them are online, having online classes. So we have our separate place on giving lectures and also having the classes. Okay. So in terms of that, people are very important element of the successful project. Okay. Then the following we have on the product process and also the project, right? So I go down here, yeah, in a full slide. Okay. So on this one, okay, stakeholder I mentioned just now. Okay. Stakeholder, you can give different naming as well, instead of what we have here. Because stakeholder is the one that have interest and importance to the project. Then you have, when you do your reporting, usually you have certain terms, you will use that terms inside your document. Okay, so means that usually you have terms and definition, right? Like if you have you refer to the book, when you're reading a book, of course a novel, they don't have that terms and definition. But when we are talking about academic books, we have like term and definition, what that terms means. Okay, also when you perform your reporting in the project, okay, if you use like terms customer, so who are the customer defined by that particular document, inside that particular document, or for your own project lah. Means that represent the terms that you use for your project, right? End users, customer, that is very what we call very generic one lah. Okay, practitioners, project manager, okay, senior managers, or even top management, if you have that terms. Okay, so stakeholder here is the one that they have certain interest on that project. Okay, for example, customer, possibly the customer here, for example, who specify the requirement, means that you as developer, you capture the requirement from your customer, right? Usually at early of the project, requirements capturing, requirement gathering, okay, and then you capture the requirement, which is to what are the customer expectation, what are their needs that you have to capture from them, you have to get from them. Okay, because you are the developer, you are not the one who are going to use the system or the application that you're going to create, right? So in that way, stakeholder have certain interest. That is on the customer, right? So in your project also really on the senior managers, for example, the first point, okay, who define the business issues that often have significant influence on the project. Okay, so senior managers can be in variety situations actually, okay, or condition. Okay, for example, if the senior manager here you define is the one that you are the developer in a company, software developer company. Okay, so maybe your senior managers will be the one who are part of the management, okay, and they possibly also the one that going to monitor the project. Okay, okay, so usually in a company, software house or software developer company, they are involving not one project, can be many projects at the same time. Okay, so senior managers possibly the one who define the business issues that often have significant influence on the project. Okay, possibly the senior manager, they are not involved directly on the development part, but they monitoring the project, possible, and then in a way of to make sure the project are in progress, on progress, okay, on progress without any delay or problems, right? Okay, that have significant influence on the project. Possibly also the senior manager have a certain certain way where they can intervene. They can have a certain decision on the project. Okay, and they have a certain power to do something. Okay, to make decision or give influence to the project. Okay, project managers usually I will explain usually in the chapters. Can be I will explain you as a here as a team member in the project, or you sometimes here it refers to the project manager, because project manager who are directly manage the project. Okay, so project manager usually they call also project leader, who have a certain authority or power in terms of managing the group or the team, the project team. Okay, so project managers can who must plan, motivate, organize, control the practitioner who do software work. So meaning that what usually I refer practitioner here is the team of developer lah. The team, the project team, right? Okay, meaning that possibly usually one project manager, and under project manager they have a few staff who are doing on the same project, who are developing the same project, okay, on the development. Okay. So another one is practitioner who deliver the technical skill that are necessary to engineer a product or application. This is for me, usually from my example, practitioner here is the team. Okay, the team members. Okay, who are doing the development. Okay, performing the development. Okay, customer mentioned already just now, end user. Okay, so end user who interact with the software once it is released for production use. Okay, I did ask before what is the difference between customer and end user. Okay, in certain situations, as I mentioned, you may define in your document, usually in document planning, okay, software project management planning, and who are the customer, who are the end user. Okay, end user usually more will be part of the customer, can be, okay, because end user is the one who have direct interest in terms of to use the software or the application. Okay, so to use the software or the application. So in terms of that, is there someone else joining the class? Okay, right. So in that case, end user is the one who are using directly the apps or the system that you are going to create. Okay. Okay, so who interact with the software once it is released for production use. Okay, for example, your SMP, right? Sistem Maklumat Pelajar. So you are one of the end user, right? The student. Me also one of the end user, the lecturer. Okay, right? So that is the one. Okay, or in a way of customer, to give more broader example on the customer. Okay, instead of the students, instead of the lecturer, customer here possibly also the top management of the university, the management of the university, and specifically the hak ehwal pelajar, right? The student affair. No, or and possibly also the registrar, okay, or that are also using that system, and they are more not directly, but in the way of they are using that system to make sure the process on student registration, everything are as planned, okay, as expected on the SMP, okay, when they are using the SMP, right? So that is on the people in a way of who are the stakeholder. This is when we go very going down again very detailed in terms who are the people involved in the development, okay, in the development, okay. And as mentioned before, project leader or project manager is the one who are important just now to lead, okay, to manage, to motivate, to control, okay. That is project manager, the leader, right? Instead of that, it's not only about the project leader, but it's actually when we are talking about a project, it's a teamwork. Okay, so in a teamwork itself, not only project manager give give certain instruction on motivating a problematic or anything that the staff that underperformance, but also should be as a team, okay, because project manager alone, if he's good, but if the if the team members are not good or having certain problem, it will affect also on the project, right? So when we're talking about a team, okay, possibly how to lead is more to the project manager, but other things also, they are working together, okay, they are collaborating together, okay. And okay, not only on project manager giving the ideas, but also it comes from others, okay. Possibly everyone can give ideas if it's good for the team, it's good for the project, okay. So organizing also is can be organizing you as a, for example, as a project manager, or maybe organizing your own task, your own activity, or your own responsibility to make sure that is good. Okay, you are producing your best. Okay, so software teams is very important. Later also on people management, human management, we are talking very detailed on this one. Right? So this right, team leader. Okay, one of the, this is just to share one of the model, what we call MOI model, which is good to see in a broader perspective for the team leader. Okay, motivation, organization, idea, and innovation. Okay, right, motivation, one of the things that we cannot see, but motivation is the things that give give influence. If we are not motivated, it will affect on the performance. So that is the factors lah, one of the factors, motivation, very important. Others, organization. Okay, F39 now. Okay, others is on organization, where organization is the one existing process enable initial concept to be translated into a final product. Organization in terms of organizing, and can be also organizing in terms of the process. Okay, organizing process involved during the development. Okay, and from there to come up with the, at the end of course lah, our aim is as a developer to produce a good quality product lah. Okay, I need ideas and innovation. Okay, this is not all people actually can give can produce innovative ideas or give ideas, or in a way of innovative ideas as well, more difficult. However, in a way of if you see the news, okay, nowadays, like in the industry of entertainment, on the telecommunication industries, they are looking for innovative ideas, right? Okay, so it can comes from the end user, comes from the customer. The ideas can possibly comes from other things lah. Okay, to encourage people to create and feel creative even when they must work within bounds established for a particular software product or application. Okay, so this idea can become from other things. Okay, very routine days. Okay, for example, um, out of software industry lah, when we're talking about nowadays on the pandemic, COVID-19, right? It's like on the facility for sanitizer, right? Previously, we are trying not to touch things, right? Then unnecessary. So, and then from there, like sanitizers, when you go for the building, when you go to the shop, they put in the sanitizer, right, in the bottle. In a way of not want to reduce in terms of touching the things, and then they innovate the product in terms of using others, like using your feet, and then you just put your palm, and then you get you get the drops, right? Sanitizer drops. Okay, so that kind of things lah. But in when talking about software industries nowadays, just to make sure that the user, in terms of convenience, okay, for example, last 5 and 10 years back, in terms of the software industries, to make sure that call the people who are not familiar with the IT, and then comes the resistance to use certain apps application. But nowadays it's common, right? But the apps itself, to make sure that the user are convenient to them, the software are convenient to the user. Okay, much easier. Let's say online purchasing nowadays, right? Online transaction nowadays. Okay, it's not as difficult as last 2-3 years, right? Some issues on the possibly in terms of connection, possibly in terms of to use the linkages. I use the terms linkages here between the supplier or the business, and also on the payment side, payment gateway. Okay, there are some problems before, but now when you use Shopee or Lazada, I believe some of you are very familiar with that, right? Nowadays, okay, like Shopee, when you want to do your shopping, it very convenient, all right, to anyone, okay, to use that apps, and just click here and there, provide your information, your ID and password, everything, then done, right? So it can be in a few minutes, or maybe in within 1 minute even, right? If you have you know the product, and just make the payment, right? So in terms of that, how much time I have? Okay, already half an hour. So on software tips ni, in terms of following factors must be considered when selecting a software team project team structure. So factors here can be variety based on the situation, based on the condition, based on the organization. Many kind of things can be influenced, right? And or even in terms of the size of the project, size of the problems, okay, the expectation, possibly as well on the expectation of the end user, expectation from the customer, can be a variety. Okay, so from here, this is some of the example. Okay, from these factors will influence in terms how you want to organize the team structure, how you want to establish your team structure. Team structure here means that how many people involved, who are they, who are the team members, because that also will influence, for example, in terms of how, for example, in terms of the expertise. Okay, very simple example, like in terms of the programmer. If you want to pick up the programmer, what kind of programs, programming that required for that particular program. Different domain, different area, possibly have different expectation in terms of the technicalities, for example. Okay, okay, and also in terms how big the problem, because it may also influence or give one factors that influence in terms of how many people should be involved, the team number, how many, eh? In that way. Okay, then also required quality and reliability of system to be built. Okay, quality is very important, but the quality, how they express the quality. Have you taken your quality subject? Any from quality, um, about quality, software quality? Do you have any from previous classes?
This
Ada?
semester.
This Sam.
Ya,
This
siapa ada?
semester.
Siapa ada? Who's your lecturer?
Dr. Hafiz
Dr.
Osman.
Hafiz.
Hafiz, okay. So quality is very important. Then we put in one dedicated subject for our software engineers. You are the software engineers, right? Okay. So quality is the one. I think I'm not sure for this one. If there is a quality, usually in previous curriculum, we have quality dedicated in this subject. Okay. If I think we already take out the chapters and then put one dedicated subject for quality, software quality. Okay. So because we try to not to duplicate, so that we can focus other chapters more time lah to focus on other chapters related on project management. Okay, reliability. Okay, software reliability, one of the factors. And this is also very important. How reliable is your product, your software that you're going to create? You want to create. Okay, so quality here is not only when you put on the testing, okay, it's good, pass everything, and then you say, okay, we are producing a good software. Okay, quality can be also to ensure that your end product is good, in good shape, as expected by the customer. Also, you have to make sure the process you on the way you are creating your product is good. Okay, usually that is the point. When you have a good quality process, then hopefully at the end you come out with a good quality product. Okay, so quality here in terms of process and also in terms of product. Dr. Hafiz will mention it in detail later. Right? So delivery date, that is on the time constraint. Okay, if you in the software industry, okay, when the developer have a project, they winning a project. For example, let's say UPM. For example, UPM, they announce to the software developer, we have one project, and then we decide to outsource. Means that they want to hire outside company to develop one system, for example. So usually they announce that to the companies. Okay, so software developer companies by tender. Okay, so tendering system is that they come out with one document, what are the expectation, how much they're willing to pay, everything about the system they are expected. Okay, then they announce to this company, and the company bid. Okay, they bid that tender. Okay, they're interested, then they send their document for proposal. Okay, so proposal, so UPM, the person in charge, we evaluate the proposal, and then they will decide lah, then internal process everything to decide, okay, which company is the best option for them. Okay, and then the company then they win the project, let's say company A. So in terms of that, usually in the document on the tendering, they already mentioned should start when and should finish at when. Okay, so they have very spell out how the project should be completed when. Okay, so delivery date is very important. Okay, for the company, software developer company, to comply, right? So when they have the contract, company A have the contract, so they can start. Okay, agreement, usually what we call service level agreement. That agreement, which is the what they call the legal document agreement. Okay, it's a document and it's a legal one, which is the agreement between the UPM, for example, as I mentioned as an example, and the company. Okay, so that service agreement is very important because it mentions everything in terms of legal terms. Okay, usually in terms of in certain situation, if the project not delivered on time, for example, or even in terms of work progress possible, in terms of in certain situation, if this company A unable to deliver on time, what happened? Okay, is there any penalty? Okay, and then also maybe part inside the document in terms of after the software delivered to the customer, to UPM. Okay, is there any cost related after that in terms of maintenance after delivery? So all that is very important. Okay, let's skip this one. This is in terms of the software teams, then in a way of how it being structured or created. So in certain ways, some difference there, like if you read in detail. For example, closed paradigm, usually this one structures a team along a traditional hierarchy of authority. So this one, usually they have their own team, and then they stick to the old team, the previous team. Okay, means that close, they are not, they are doing the same project, the project from one to another with the same group, okay, with the same team. Okay, so what we call close paradigm. It's possible in terms of maybe they are already have a good team, and then from there, any project they already done, they are stick together with that particular team. Okay, that is closed paradigm. Okay, and random paradigm can be structured as a team loosely and depends on individual initiative of the team member. So this is the one where possibly the team have they have one project, and then they working for that project, but in creating the team itself possibly can be they have a new one come in which is a new based on the requirement of the project, and they work together after that. Okay, okay. Open paradigm can be like more or less like same to the random paradigm, but in manner that achieves some of the control associated with the closed paradigm. Okay, the intervention can be in terms of depends on the how collaboratively they are working in terms of communication and also decision making. Okay, so what I can say here is that it depends on the how the arrangement or in terms of how they do some changes or modification on creating the team. Okay, the team that involved in the project. Okay, or synchronous paradigm. Okay, natural compartmentalization of a problem and organize team members to work on pieces for related active communication among them. Okay, so synchronous paradigm is more in certain situation. Okay, one big project, okay, divided into smaller group. Okay, possibly we have a top project leader on top, and then they have sub project leader. Okay, which is they have a certain hierarchy. So to compartment or in terms of dividing the functions or problems on that particular big project on creating one particular application, and from there they divided into problems, and then however in certain way the sub project leader or project manager, they will need to communicate because they are creating one big application or system, one big project, but still they have to communicate to each other. Okay. This one possibly I'm not going to detail, but what we want to say here is that uh, avoid team toxicity. Toxicity is the one we don't want to have. Okay, means that it will influence, it will give bad influence. Okay, it will it's not give benefit, but more creating more problems, right? So any negative impact or effect, we want to reduce, or we don't want to have it, right? So there are many examples, all right? Because when you are working in a team, sometimes it will influence, team members will influence one to another. Okay, right? Okay, for example here, right? So work atmosphere which team members waste energy and lose focus on the objective of the work to be performed. Okay, so we don't want these kind of things because losing focus will influence on the job performance, right? Okay, high frustration caused by personal, business, or technological factors that cause friction among team members. Okay, frustration effect on the emotional, right? Frustration is on the emotional side, but this emotional side factors will influence other as well. Okay, like frustration. Okay, they expecting the managers, the top management give, for example, very simple one, right? Give let's say bonus, 10-year bonus, right? Once a year, right? You get bonus. Let's say last few years you have your bonuses, right? But this year maybe on the bad business situation ke, economic condition ke, then management unable to give you the bonus. So that kind of frustration will influence on your job performance, right? Okay, business, personal, and also other factors. Okay. Coordination, the third point, okay, fragmented or poorly coordinated procedures, okay, or improper choosing process model. Process model it relate on the process quality, right? Process here means on the development process, yeah, that becomes a roadblock to accomplishment possible. Okay, unclear definition of rules resulting in a lack of accountability and finger pointing. Okay, of course, uh, in the project, there are many activities, right? From start until the end. Okay, very generic one, like as I mentioned, example, very generic example on the requirement capturing, requirement apa tu specification. Okay, then analysis and design, on the coding or development, thought testing, right? So those activities involve different person, right? Different tasks by different person, different member, task allocation, right? So um, one of the things that we are highly um, promoting is that on the team cooperation, team spirit. Okay, team spirit is very important because we are don't want to pointing to okay this person are not doing good, then I get bad requirement specification when I do the design. I'm not understanding on the SRS document that was being documented by the previous team person, right? So that is pinpointing lah, right? So we don't want that one because we are a team working together for uh, objective at the end to come out with a good software, good product, right? Continuous and repeated exposure to failure that leads to a loss of confidence and lowering of morale. So this is also another example lah, okay, that something which is give influence in terms of like repeated exposure to failure. Although there one of the things that Kate mentioned in later when we are talking about people management is the one that project leader, project manager should share everything with the team members because although there is a bad news but need to share because hopefully from there they try to solve the problems together because they are a team, right? So that is the things that uh, uh, either it's a hard time, it's a happy hour, happy moment, they share together because it contribute um, the apa kita panggil the self belonging to the project. Okay, alright. Okay, class. Okay. Tanya ni semua senyap ni kan tertidur ke apa? Okay, agile team. Pernah dengar kan agile development? Ever heard on the agile development, software development, agile methodology, we call it. Pernah dengar? Ever heard? Agile methodology on the software development? Okay, so this is what we call agile team, not agile methodology. But in a way of the spirit on the agile side is there. Because nowadays, why we mention agile teams? Because agile methodology, I would say, is everywhere. Means that most of the company they concern, they would like to have or they implementing or they are adopting agile methodology because of some of the what we call it the not method in terms of the apa kita panggil punya ni agile methodology punya ni where the concept of agile itself interested by the developer or the company who are doing the development. Okay, so encourage customer satisfaction and early incremental development. So one of the agile manifesto. One of the agile manifesto is on the incremental and repeating, right? So repetition. So and also in terms of fast development. Okay, they are trying to reduce the time on the development time, but hopefully in a way of they work very close to the end user or the customer. Okay, because from there, when incremental part, they are capturing, for example, capturing requirement, and then they are more interaction with the customer or the end user. Okay, that is about agile. Sorry. Okay, so distribution of skill must be appropriate to the problem. Okay, usually, for example, on the requirement capturing or requirement gathering, as mentioned, you are frequently meeting with the customer or end user, and then from there, hopefully, you are adding more to have a clear picture. Okay, in a way of from there, hopefully, you have a better picture, and then from there, um, it go, it give a better advantage for the developer, right? Um, Distribution of skill must be appropriate to the problem, okay? Because you are trying to produce a fast development time, try to reduce on development time, and from there, okay, very specific skill are required. Okay, let's say on the requirement on the system analyst, what we call the task, the people or the team inside the team, the system analyst who are capturing the requirement. Okay, kalau analysis and design, the system designer, kan? Okay, on testing, software tester. Programmer is the one on the programming side, on the coding side. Okay, so Mavericks. What is Maverick class? I give you a chance lah. Okay. Can you get? You are in front of your computer. If you go for translation, what is Maverick? Yes. Okay. One of the example, independent-minded person. So why Maverick? Independent-minded person may be excluded. Excluded means that we don't want that kind of person inside the team, on the agile team. Then, if team cohesiveness is to be maintained, means that we need to tie together. Cohesive means tied together. Okay. However, Maverick is the one is very independent. They don't want to involve in the team. So it's very contrast, right? So in certain situation, we don't want that kind of person to be involved in the project. Okay, that's why it's very important. When you have a project, you need to be selective. Okay, in the project, because sometimes the nature of the quality product you are producing also may influence, because sometimes, as I mentioned before, on the technical, on the costing and everything. Okay, so one of it is on this one. Okay, team is self-organizing. Okay, an adaptive team structure, element of random, open, and synchronized periodic. So it depends on what are the nature of that project, okay, the product you are producing, and then comes on the development, creating or selecting your team. Okay, so it's very, very close lah on those factors. Okay, team coordination and communication is one chapters relate on the communication management actually. Okay, when establishing, when you have a project, you have to decide, you have to plan on the communication, what we call communication planning. Okay, what kind of communication need to during the project. Okay, communication in terms of report submission, what kind of report or what product, in terms of the documentation, any for example, any kind of report, what report. Okay, so that's all influence in terms of the communication, or even in terms how frequent you want to have the meeting, every day, once a week, so that also need to be planned early. Okay, need to plan early, and it also will be part of your project planning later lah. Okay, project planning later. Communication planning is part of the project planning as well, in the project management planning documentation. Okay, and then even in terms of technology, okay, what kind of technology for the communication? Either you want to have a Skype, or you want to have Google Meet is enough. So that is one. because you have to spell out. Okay, let's say we have one project. Okay, this is a team of 5, for example. So from that, once you establish the team, then you have to plan also on how to communicate, in what way, right? Okay, for example, electronic communication can be on the electronic mail, okay, on the document report submission, because one of the things is that it's not only about a team which is working at the same place together, but now you should thinking of in terms of like online communication, because okay, like pandemic nowadays, developer are working online as well. Okay, they are communicating through online as well. Okay, and even before this pandemic as well, like international company, they also having their staff in different country, working in different country. So that's why communication planning is very important. Okay, for example, video-based conferencing system, if there is one dedicated system for communicate, either they want to use that dedicated communication system, or maybe, so you have to decide. The team have to decide on the communication. Okay, and even in terms of the not only meeting, usually meetings can be formal or informal meeting, right? If formal meeting, usually who are the participants involved in the meeting also very much influence on that. Okay, either it's formal or informal. Okay, usually on informal meeting can be between the uh, let's say they want the system analysts and software designers, they want to communicate, they want to discuss something, maybe they have an informal discussion. Usually meetings, they have a very proper agenda, right? They have a proper times set up, who are the participants, they minute everything inside the meeting minute, right? So they have a secretary or people who are jotting down about the meeting, right? So that is on the communication. Right, people factors, project management, still on the people. So on the project management factors, although we have one dedicated, this is very, very, very general, right? So on the people side, consistency, respect, inclusion, harness is very important. Okay, then it will, because these factors, okay, will give impact to the emotional and more further on the work progress, right? Okay, and also in terms of feelings, because that will influence on the project also, right? So consistency, team members should all be treated in a comparable way without favorites or discrimination. Okay, okay, just very simple example, like you just graduated and then you join one project, then you work in one company, okay, and then the company giving you tasks to involve in one project. So in this project, possibly you have a senior staff, right, who already have many experience, right, or even many years of experience, like 10 years, 5 years maybe. And then you are just a new fresh graduate involved in the project. You want to learn. You have to learn everything. You are new, right, for the real project. So in a way of, if you are not treated the same, you will feel down, right? You feel sad, although in certain way your knowledge are, you have many knowledge on the development, but in certain way, like for the experienced developer, maybe the technological, you are more well versed than them, because technology very fast change, right? However, in certain way, that my point is that uh, although possibly you are new, you are a fresh graduate, but it doesn't mean that your knowledge is not less lesser than the experienced one. Okay, so in terms of that, treating the same is very important, right? Okay, respect even between the senior and also the newcomers to the company. So we respect because that also gives influence, right? Inclusion, involve the teams, right? To give ideas, to collaborate together. Honest is very important as well, right? So it's not only about when you involve in that project, but you as well as a person, right? So should be all the time lah, understand, right? To yourself and also to others lah. Okay. So people are on organization most important asset. Okay. Task managers are essentially people. But well, people management also can contribute to project failure. Baru satu, right, class? I think it's almost 10 lah. Sorry, 11 lah. 11 to 2 minutes. Okay, product scope. Okay, context, information, objective, function, and performance. Okay, must be unambiguous and understandable. So, in that case, product scope. Ada kelas. Ada kelas sampai pukul 12. Bye-bye. Ada video call pula datang. Okay. So, my project scope. So, on this part, product scope. Okay. At early of the project, okay, requirement is the one come out from the developer. Okay. And product scope can comes also from the customer and also end user. Okay, customer and end user. So, in a way of the system analysts who are capturing the requirement is very important because they communicate with the real end user and the customer, right? So, in terms of scope, okay, means that the first step or the first activity in the software development. That's why capturing the requirement is very important, and putting or translating the customer needs to a requirement, because requirements is what the terms come from the software engineers, kan? But for the customer, what are their needs? What they want the software, what are their expectation to the software, right? That you are creating, right? So in terms of that, the requirement is one of the initial step which is very important and must be unambiguous and understandable. Okay? Okay. Syatman, Sabab, Sohan baru masuk. Okay. Our class at 11, yes. I mean at 10. Now it's already 11, right? Okay. I'm still on chapter 1, yeah. So that's it. Sikit lagi. Okay. For problem decomposition. Okay. Decompose the problem. And from there, you understand better about the problem comes from the user. And then comes the needs and then the requirement lah. Okay. Next, process. Process is the one where the process used or implemented in your software development. Okay, in the software development. Okay. Okay, so problem and process, how the problems been translated and then give or elaborated or synchronized with the process inside the development, on the development side. Okay. Okay, this is in terms of project get into trouble. Any problems about the project? Okay, this also can give contributing factors that influence on the project. Okay, so in terms of that, can be variety. Those factors can be from various angle, various factors, or comes from the stakeholder. You can look in different perspective lah. If you look on the perspective on the stakeholder, you define who are the stakeholder, and you can specify each of it. What are the problems can give or can influence by those stakeholders? If you look on the 4 P's just now, okay, people, project, product, right? Also, you can uh, give detail out on that part, okay, based on that outline. Okay, so that will be some of the way how you want to explain in detail lah, or can see in different perspective, right? Common sense on the project itself. Okay, so this you can read later. So some of the example already mentioned before. Essence of the project. Okay, to get the feelings on the project. This is some of the questions by Boyum. Okay, that explain or give some question in terms of question that you can answer, and from there you can understand better on the project side. Okay, right? For example, I'm giving the last point there. How much of each resources, for example, people, software, tools, database will be needed? Okay. For now, possibly you cannot answer. Okay, because you are not, we are not covering on the chapters yet. But later, okay, when you go chapter by chapter, you will know better. Okay, how much resource on the people, for example. People very tight on the costing. People also very tight on the scheduling, how much time you have. Okay, and also expected expertise related. Okay, on the software tools, what database, all also represent in terms of requirement, technological things that need to be considered. So it's related, right? Why is the system being developed? This is very general. Okay, why system being developed? Who needs the system? You specify who are the end user. Okay, end user, and then also relate to the system expected by the user. Okay, so this is very general question. Okay, so I've done on that. Okay, so on the key points here, good project management is essential. That is very obvious statement. Okay, that's why dedicated subject on the software project management. Okay, if software engineering project are to be developed on schedule and within budget. Okay, software management is distinct, is different from other engineering management because it's intangible, mentioned in the previous slide. Novel or innovative with nobody of experience to guide the management. Maybe the system or the product you are producing, no such system available nowadays. Possible, okay? Or even if not, means that you are tailored to a specific end user, okay? Specific end user with a very specific requirement or expectation. Okay, so effective software project management focus on 4 P's, which is people, product, process, and also project. Okay, so software project managers plays a major role in the software project management activities. Of course, okay, so they are the top in the company. Let's say we picture as a big company, a company. So project manager is the one on the management. Okay, so he or she are very important, right? So this is a reference. This is in terms of year 2011 is quite old, but Somerville already have 11 edition. Edition yang ke-11. That one is the latest one. Okay, you can find the e-books. I think is available lah. Okay, because Somerville, one of the software engineering books in general. Inside Somerville, they have one dedicated chapter on the project management, right? Pressman also one of the, this is two gurus lah, I would say, in software engineering. Also on the software engineering book, Pressman. Okay. To be specific on the project management, what we molding your software project management class or course is basically more more related on the project management body of knowledge, PM book. That is one standard. I will show you later how to get that, if possible lah, because I think the old version I have is actually is free. which is they have the project management body of knowledge in terms of not book, but it's a file, dedicated file. They give it's free. But now Project Management Institute, they put in as a one book, okay, and then they publish the book, and we have to pay for that lah. Currently I don't have the book lah, okay, but more or less is similar lah in terms of the content. Right, class. So far so good. Okay, thank you. Right, done with the chapter 1. So I've done on this one. Any question on chapter 1? Class? Is there any question for chapter 1?
No, doctor. So far, it's clear.
Okay. Thank you. Right. So I just want to share here. This is, you can see this one? You can see the SMP, ESMP.
Yes.
This is the Borang I download from the SMP. And this is the list lah that there are 33. No, different. Not this one. This is my another class lah actually. This is introduction to software engineering. I think this one. Okay. Right. For the software project management, I have the T30. Abdul Wahab. Are you there, Abdullah?
Yeah,
Okay, how are you, Abdullah?
I'm good. Thank you.
Your first class?
Yes,
Yeah. Why? Are you unable to join the class last week?
I had a problem in my Blast.
Okay. Now it's okay already?
Yeah, all
You can
good
access-
now.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, Abinesh, are you there?
Sorry, doctor, do we have a WhatsApp group?
Yeah. Anyone who the admin, please add Abdullah. Okay. Okay. Later,
Yes,
one
yes,
of
we-
the admin will add you. Abdullah, yeah.
Okay,
Just
okay,
wait
sure,
for
sure.
the
Yeah,
invitation.
yes, unmeetable.
Right, Abinesh. That's all, Abdullah. That's all.
All right. Where did I put my number?
Okay. Abinesh, are you there? Attendance, yeah. I'm taking attendance. Abinesh. Abinesh. Abinesh, tak ada? Abinesh tak ada? Aina, are you there? Aina? Aina, are you there? Huh? Aina? Huh?
Yes, doctor.
She's there?
She
She's
is she
in the-
reply in the
Okay,
chat.
Abinesh? Because I'm opening the SMP because I'm not viewing the apa tu Google Meet now. Aina, ada? Abinesh ada tak?
Yes, doctor, I'm here.
Rani, are you there? Alif, Zuhairi? Okay.
Saya.
Fahim, Adlin?
Ya, doktor.
Alright. Lin Jiayin? Are you there, Lin? Okay, Liu Wei? Liu? Tak ada, Liu? Okay, Liu. Not around. Maharas, are you there, Maharas?
Yes, Bob.
Okay. Maliha? No? Maliha?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Zaman?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Moaj?
Yes, doctor, I'm here.
Yeah, okay, Moaj, also, this is your first class, right?
Yeah, this is my first class.
What about Putra Mas? You already can access? Moaj?
Yeah, I can access Putra Blast.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Muhammad Hanif? Hanif? Hanif.
Saya doktor. Saya,
Alhamdulillah.
Doktor.
Muhammad Taufik. Okay, Taufik. Taufik. Taufik, Muhammad Taufik ada? Taufik. Tak ada? Saya ambil attendance ya. Kalau ada, cakap ada. Muhammad Faiz.
Ya, doktor. Saya.
Ada. Okey, Muhammad Faris Nazrin. Ada? Alhamdulillah. Muhammad Khairi.
Ya, ada doktor.
Hai, lelaki kelas ni. Muhammad Khairi. Ada ya?
Ada.
Nur Anis.
Yes, doctor.
Okey.
Yes.
Nur Hazimah.
Here.
Okey. Nurul Fatihah.
Saya.
Okey. Nurul Syafiqah.
Saya.
Okey. Okey, Nurul Syafiqah. Sorry to ask, Nurul. Syafiqah.
Yeah.
Kenapa nama where are you from? Syafiqah.
Tak dengar, doktor.
Syafiqah dari mana? Orang mana?
Saya orang Kelantan.
Ya, kenapa nama unik ah? Saja tanya. Nurul Syafiqah. Ha?
Saya tak dengar.
Kenapa tak ada binti Nurul? Ha? Kenapa nama Nurul unik sikit ah? Saja nak tahu.
Nama saya macam tu je.
Iya. Oh, I see. Okey. Orang Kelantan. Orang mana? Sebab tanya orang Kelantan nak tahu orang mana kan? Yang mana?
Gemusai.
Oh, okay. Obici. Are you there, Obici? Obici? Tak ada? Obici?
Doktor dia buka mic tapi tak dengar suara dia.
Ya, okay. Adalah tak apa. Okay, thank you. Perasan?
Yes, doctor. I'm
Okay.
here.
Syakman ada?
Assalamualaikum, doctor. Doctor, I had a problem with my putra blast. I cannot enter from the putra blast in your class.
Oh,
My friend.
who's talking Syakman ya? You are Syakman?
Yes, doctor.
Syakman ke ni? You are Syakman?
Yes,
Sabar?
doctor. Yes, doctor.
Okay, now you having problem to access Putra Blast.
Yes, doctor. My friend sent me the link so I can enter your class. But in my putra blast.
Where are you now, Syakman?
I'm now in KL.
In KL.
Yes, doctor.
Before last semester you can no problem with Putra Blast, but this semester you having problem.
Last week, also I think first week I is like start from 3 or 4 days. 5 days.
Oh, but on last week you managed to access before.
No. I last week I cannot manage. This week I managed with my friend send me the link.
Okay. What about your system registration? Course registration. SMP.
SMP is okay. SMP is okay. But Putra Blast I cannot. I can enter your group, but I can from there I cannot enter your class.
You cannot access. You cannot download the file.
Yeah,
The lecture notes. Or maybe you can ask your friend to send.
Also the link to the class. The link is not
While
working.
waiting for your Putra Blast to okay means that you can access. Maybe you should ask your friend to send you through email. Maybe the lecture that I upload in the Putra Blast, yeah? Just ask your friend. Your friend, yeah? Alright, Syarul, Syazwan, ada?
Ada.
Siti Aisyah,
Yes, doctor.
right. Syazwani. Syazwani ada? Syazwani, where are you? Syazwani, ada?
Mic dia rosak, doktor.
Ada, Syazwani ada, okay. Nur Izzati ada? Tuan Sharifah Nur Izzati.
Saya.
Right, Wasik.
Yes, doctor.
Where are you from, Wasik?
I'm from Bangladesh, doctor.
Bangladesh. Now you are in Malaysia?
No,
staying here?
I'm in Bangladesh now.
Okay. Which part of Bangladesh?
Southern part, Joshore.
Oh, everything's okay there? What about your internet?
Internet is not bad. It's okay.
Okay. What about Putra Blast? You can access, you can download the notes?
Yeah, I can access Putra Plus.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Zanziri?
Yes, doctor.
Alright. Okay, thank you. We have 30 in the class.
Doctor,
Alhamdulillah. Yes?
doctor, you called me just now.
Which one?
Doctor?
Abinesh.
Who's talking now?
Abinesh.
Abinesh, you are there. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Liu Wei, are you there,
Doctor?
Liu Wei? Liu Wei? Muhammad Taufik, are you there? So two are absent, huh?
Taufik ada nama dekat dalam ni tapi dia internet dia lambat, dia tak boleh panggil.
Taufik, ya ke internet lambat? Mana?
Nama dia ada tak?
Nama je ada, saya tak nak. Mana tuannya?
Toilet. Toilet. Saya dah keluar.
Siapa saya tu?
Saya Taufik.
Apa je lah. Okay, so meaning that Muhammad Taufik, saya assume absent,
Tapi nama dia ada tak?
Sana, mana Taufik nak dengar suara? Make sure the end nanti
Doctor,
ada dia.
Ubichi is present.
OBT. Yeah.
Ubichi.
Yes. I already crossed for the absent. So for now, Liu Wei and Muhammad Taufik. Right. So while waiting for Muhammad Taufik and Liu Wei, I want to hear their voice. If possible, 11:23 already. Right. So I want to introduce chapter 2 if possible in class. Second chapter is chapter 2, which is on project planning and scheduling. Hold on. Okay, so on the Putra Blast, if you can see here, I already upload chapter 2, chapter 1.
Possible, doctor.
Again, sorry, again, siapa cakap tadi? So this is a view lah from the lecturer's view for the system lah, Putra Blast. So from here, I already upload 2 chapters. So now we are moving to second chapter, okay, on the planning and scheduling. Right. Okay. On the introduction, that is what we call introduction on what is project management and other things lah related. And now we move on to the particular or dedicated chapter, and project planning and scheduling is one of the I forgot lah nak record our class actually. I try to record for half an hour, enough lah. You know what class? Last, I think on Wednesday I did record, but sometimes, I don't know, quite shy to see my own lecture. I haven't seen the record, the recording yet. Siapa ni Azimah tahu saya ya? Okay. Me myself also laughing lah. Okay, no problem. Right. Okay. So, I nak record sekarang lah. Sabar je. The record. Okay, record meeting. Okay, I'm recording the session for the half an hour lah. Right, so now we start on second chapter, which is project planning and scheduling. So can you see the slide now? Fast? Okay?
Yes.
Right. So the second chapter, one of the important aspect in project management body of knowledge. Not the first, one of the pillars. Pillars means that one of the important things that covered in project management body of knowledge standards. Okay, so for this chapter, okay, as I mentioned before, more on the pen and pencil, you have to use drawings. It's for drawings actually. You can simply use tools to help you on manage your schedule or doing your scheduling. But we prefer students to do the drawing so that they can understand better what is actually represented by the drawings itself, or the what do you call it, the notation. Okay, so in this chapter, our learning outcomes is to explain the principle of project planning. Of course lah, planning is what we plan in future, what we want to do. Okay, what are the activities of that? Okay, but the principle behind that is very important. Second objective is to explain project scheduling items. Okay, so on the planning is another part. Scheduling is go to detail. Detail in terms of you schedule your work. Okay, when talking about work here means that the activity involved inside the project. Okay, what are the activities are going to perform? What are the work need to be performed? So in terms of that, when you make the scheduling, you have to, each of the activities, you have to plan properly. Okay, plan here means that how long each activity should be allocated, how long each activities. Okay, and what are the related activities? Possibly one activity is related to another. And what are the activities can be done at the same time? Okay, let's say you have, you already specify we have 8 activities to perform to make sure the project complete. Okay, and maybe 1, 2, or 3 of the activities are not related to the next activity. You can perform it at the same time. Okay, let's say activity 1 until 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then when you look on your project schedule and project planning, activity 1, 2, and 3 is not related to each other. Okay, means that you can perform the activity before you continue with the activity 4. There's certain situation there. Okay, it's possible that that kind of arrangement lah. Okay. So starting for this chapter 2, it's not only about planning on the time frame, planning on the duration, project duration, but also it will reflect, or it will also influence other things. Okay, other factors like in terms of people involved and other things. But I try to focus on project planning and scheduling. If I have example which is relate with other factors, I will explain. Right. So in this chapter, we are covering 4 subtopic here: project pricing, planning driven development, project scheduling, and agile planning. But what usually we focus more is on the project scheduling. Okay, but of course it's related. Okay, to the other 3. Okay, so planning. Software project planning is the overall goal, definition, yeah. Project planning is to establish a pragmatic strategy for controlling, tracking, and monitor a complex technical project. Macam banyak benda. Many things there mentioned, right? Okay. So why? So the end result goes done on time and also quality, with quality. Okay, so this is one. Okay, so with your planning, you can capable on controlling. For example, okay, controlling, tracking, and monitoring. Okay, so for example, on controlling, let's say on the first activity, activity 1, you plan to complete the activity 1 in a month, 4 weeks time. Okay, 4 weeks time. Okay, a month. So in terms of that, you have a month, okay, to complete activity A. So in terms of that, the element on controlling, what should be done to make sure that activity A complete on time. Okay. So in terms of that also, you can track, okay, how much time activity A is needed. Okay, it should be, in terms of should be completed, right? And also in terms of monitoring, okay, monitoring so that you can monitor. Okay, we finish with the activity 1. Okay, then we finish on the activity 2 and 3, which is I mentioned just now, for example, can be performed at the same time. Okay. Okay, done with activity 1, activity 2, and activity 3. Okay, let's say in your project, you mentioned done with these 3 activities, we can start with activity 4. Okay, if I mention that kind of example, right? So meaning that maybe activity 1, you need 4 weeks, a month. Activity 2 only can be complete in 2 weeks. Activity 3, maybe 3 weeks. Okay, means that these 3 activities have different duration to complete. Okay, not all are in 1 month, but with a month, 2 weeks, and 3 weeks. Okay, but to start on activity 4, you have to make sure all this activity completed. Okay, so that is one of the things that you have to control in terms of to keep track everything good, and then you can start on the activity 4. Okay, let's say activity 3 supposed to complete in 3 weeks, but at the end of the day, 3 weeks there, not complete yet. Okay, there is an advantage, right? There is an advantage because activity 1, 4 weeks. Okay, activity 3, 3 weeks. So means that you have a slack time there. You have still have advantage. You can add one more week. Okay, you can extend 1 more week, and at the end of the day, complete 1 month. Okay, maximum time because activity 1 is 4 weeks. Then we can start activity 4. Okay, for now maybe it's not you cannot give a clear. I possibly can explain, but maybe it's not a clear picture yet for you, right? But in matter of to explain on controlling, tracking, and monitoring there, right? So involve breaking down the work into parts and assign the team project. This I give example already before. Okay, you have to break down the activities, and then from there you know activities what to be performed, and also at the same time you can assign, you can allocate person in charge. This let's say you have 5 in the team. Okay, Ali, Ahmad. Okay, so Ali be assigned on activity 1, for example. Yeah, Ahmad on the second activity, activity 2. Okay, so in terms of that, breaking down the work much easier because you can do the controlling, monitoring, all that, right? Okay. In terms that is in terms of project planning. Okay, so the project plan, which is created at the start of the project, used to communicate how the work will be done. Okay, let's say, all right, let's say Ali and Ahmad. Okay, both are actually working on the requirement capturing. Okay, requirement specification. Maybe they go for, I don't know, maybe how you want to split the work, but in the sense that when you put in different people, maybe they are more in terms of efficiently, in terms of working maybe, so they are concentrating on their task given, and from there, okay, however, at the end they have to communicate lah to see how it goes, right? So in terms of planning the work activity, the task, the activities is very important. So planning stages, this one I would say, when we do the planning, usually people are looking at at the early project, before the project run, okay, before the project started, okay. So on the stages here, at early stages on the planning, usually it comes with the proposal, okay, proposal. Proposal is generally the idea about the project, but it's not that detailed, okay. Maybe they have a certain item, they have a certain section to explain certain things, okay, but not much detail, because the proposal usually before the project started, okay. Let's say here at the proposal stage, when you are bidding for a contract to develop or provide a system, as I give example just now on the tendering system, on the tendering, you aim or provide the tendering. That is one of the example, right? Okay, and also planning also can be during the project startup phase. Okay, so meaning that the document that on the planning side, it can be different, and sometimes it's based on the situation. Okay, let's say on proposal stage, maybe a simple proposal because you are proposing to the customer or the client, right, who are providing the tender. But when it goes on the very specific, on the project startup phase, where you have to plan who you work on the project, it will be more detailed on the project side. It will be more detailed on the project side, okay, who will work on the project, how the project will be broken down into increments ataupun broken down into the sub-activity or work product, okay, how resource, okay, how many it should be involved, how much it costs, okay, because during the project documentation planning, on the proposal stage, maybe just mention how much it costs. Let's say 100,000, that's it. But when you want to start up the project, you want to detail out everything on the budgeting, on the costing, it will go very detailed, okay? Itemize everything on the project costing, okay? Periodically also we have certain report to represent in terms of project reporting. Okay, when you modify your plan in the light of experience gain and information from monitoring progress of the work. Okay, so on the planning side, of course, at the project startup, that is what you plan, but it doesn't mean that project planning is the very static document, because sometimes what you are projecting means that we plan to have, right? We plan to have, but it doesn't mean that what you plan is the only, it's happened, right? It's not fully 100% happen, right? Because some elements we are predicting, right? Some elements we are predicting, for example, on the costing side. Okay, for example, itemize of the costing. Maybe you have to modify because of the technological changes, the pricing are increasing or decreasing. So it will happen like that, right? So proposal planning, okay, aim at a stage to provide information used in setting price for the system to customer. Proposal planning, yang just now the first point here on proposal stage, okay, and the price, okay, is different, right? When I mention price and also the cost is different, right? Price is the one that usually price of the contract, the tender, which is the agreement, how much the customer willing to pay to the developer, right? I mentioned just now, for example, 100K. So that is the amount that the customer are willing to pay to the developer, right? However, setting a price is very subjective sebenarnya. It's very subjective because it can be high, it can be lower, right? So it's up to the developer to make negotiation, to modify the costing, to make sure that the stated price is actually inclusive, inclusive not only the cost they are investing by the developer, but also dia apa kita panggil untung, kan? Untung apa dalam English? Alamak, lupa pula. Dia punya income,
Revenue.
profit. Oh, thank you. Okay, so means that the price should should include the cost on the development side and also the profit. Okay, thank you. So in terms of that, okay, so it's up to the developer to make the arrangement. I would say arrangement because they, of course, prefer to have higher profit and they can reduce at the same time they can reduce the cost. But this balance between cost and profit, okay, should also bear in mind that it not influence on the quality side. Okay, you want to produce the quality as well, okay, the quality software, the quality product. So in terms of that, this is just to mention the pricing, okay, take into account in terms of the costing, which is hardware, software, even traveling costs, okay, training, and also other effort, right? Like salary to pay for the workers for the team, okay? So it's very important to justify in detail, just to detail out on the costing side. Right. So this is factors in the software pricing can be variety of factors and also the in the way on certain situation lah. Okay. So factor can be on the market opportunity, right? Market opportunity means the demand, kan? Demand can be let's say this software developer house company apa kita panggil good track records on the development, they are good in service for their customer, and then what they producing may be not all the software developer company capable of doing that particular application. So in that sense, they may have certain advantage, and then so from there they can demand on the price possible, right? So even like expertise or very dedicated application, or maybe those application or software is a very critical application. For example, for the medical, very important, right? So like or even in a big company, construction, maybe any kind of things, but it's very critical or it's important, or not all the company can capable of doing the development, then they have a good demanding good justification for demand for the pricing. Okay. Factors can be also on the contractual terms. A customer may be willing to allow the developer to retain ownership on the. So it depends, yeah, class. So it's already 11:44. Factors so can be this all factors, or maybe you have other factors that can be justified later, right? Plan-driven development approach to software development engineering, where the development process is planned in detail. Of course, usually any software development methodology, they will be, if you follow exactly, it will be very detailed on the plan, on the planning side lah. Okay, on the planning side. Okay, on that part, pro and cons, there are can be variety of factors. Okay, on the plan-driven development, then pro and cons is there lah. Any development methodology, you should know when you apply the development methodology, for example, you should know what are the limitations and what are the advantages, right? Okay, so from there, the limitation is where you can cater, because based on your justification is the advantages side is more preferred, and then you can cater the disadvantages or the in terms of that, right? So on project planning, okay, so on the plan-driven development project plan sets out the resources available to the project, the work breakdown and schedule for carrying out the work. So it's about planning and scheduling. So one of the project planning report, this is the things that usually we put inside the report, okay, on the software project planning, software development project planning, we call it. Okay, SDP, right? So software development project planning, SDPP, which is the one that I mentioned just now, can be it's derived, it's written early of the project. Okay, so this is the things that usually included inside the project planning sections. Okay, so you go through later, you can know all these things lah. Other than that, other than those important point mentioned here, okay, 2, 4, 6, and 7 here, including introduction. Okay, we also sometimes, if you look on this on the IEEE project planning report documentation, they will also include all this. Okay, it's a supplement. Okay, but in your group project later, we advise you also to include all this. I will give the template later what should be included in your project report. That will be your group project. Okay, on your project. So they also include quality plan, validation plan, configuration plan, maintenance plan, staff development plan. Okay, so those supplements is also needed. It depends, sometimes depends on the people who are requesting your project planning. Some they may include, some they not included inside there, right, on the project planning. Because all this, what we call supplements, because for example, on quality plan, if you're asking me, it's very important. Validation plan also important. All are important actually. Okay, at least, although it's not that detailed, but at least you have sort of some idea for all this. Okay, for all those items on the planning side. Okay. So planning process is an iterative process. What does it mean, iterative process, class? Iteratively, right? You're doing it from one cycle maybe, and then do it next. Okay, means it's repeating. Okay, why we mention it's an iterative process, because at early of the project you have derived or you have created the project planning. Okay, when you go through or along the project, some of the elements inside your first project planning are different. Different in a way of, because when you're running the project, possibly certain elements are not as mentioned in the first one. Okay, so means that project planning, those documents are, I mean, in a way of you can modify inside the document to fully tailored based on what you are doing. Okay, from the updated from time to time. Means that it can be updated from time to time. It's not a static document or static planning. Okay, so plan changes are inevitable. Is we cannot apa, kita tak boleh nak lepas daripada situ. Means that it happens. It happens because it's some of the elements inside document is changed. Okay, it's changed, right? So those explanation on that. Right, so this is in terms of the process. Of course, we are not going to go through this process, but for your own knowledge, okay, you see how the process can be varieties, okay, from one process to another, okay, up to the project finish. Okay, so this is what we call, apa ni? State diagram or what? You know what kind of diagram is this? State diagram or what? You start on your left, you finish on your right for the finish, right? So on the circle there, okay, is what are the sub-activities involved. Okay. So project scheduling, deciding how the work project must be organized as separate tasks, and when and how these tasks will be executed. Okay, that is project scheduling. You have class at 12, class? Any of you have class at 12?
Yes, Doctor.
Yeah. I have
Allah.
class.
Okay. Yeah. It's 11:51. Hold on. Give me another 4 minutes. Boleh? Boleh? Is it okay? We stop at 11:55. 5 minutes.
Yeah.
No.
All right.
All right. Okay. I'm calling Liu. Liu, are you there? Liu? Maybe he cannot manage to join the class yet. Right? Muhammad Taufik? Muhammad Taufik? Okay, tak ada. So, to be brief, another 4 minutes, okay, just to wrap up the class. Okay, I want to show you the diagrams, okay, that we are going to have later. Okay, this is a table which is an example, but we give notation lah, like task, we just give T1 up to T12, example of activities, right? We have also durations, effort percentage, just ignore the second one, durations in days, okay, and we have dependencies. So in reality, the activities, some activities are dependent to each to others activity. Some are not. Okay, so in a certain way, on project scheduling, you have to specify what are the tasks or what are the activities on your first column, okay, and then how long each activities need to be performed, okay, how much time is needed, and then dependencies, how the dependencies between one activity to another. Okay, I give you example just now. I mentioned you can start with the activities which is you don't have dependent, can start immediately. So like for this example, T1, T2 and T4 don't have dependencies, right? So you may start, you have to create this table, means that you have to do estimation, projection on the activity. Once you have this table, then you can organize better on your activities or tasks, right? So for this one, okay, I'm not going to go detail later. We are going to have that one later for the next class. This table is very important. Another one is activity network. This diagram, network diagram I would call. Network diagram, activity network, also can call it them. Okay, so why we are presenting this one to you later, how the spirit behind all this information inside here, that so that you capable of managing the project, and at the same time, if certain activity having problem, not perform on time, not finish on time, what should be done? Okay, because later you will find some of the activity cannot be negotiated in terms of time frame. Okay, later when you do this technique, you explore in terms of scheduling, you will find when you do the arrangement, you find out that this activity cannot be negotiable. You have to perform, you have to finish on time because you are going to perform other activity, and other activity are interrelated until the end of the project. So what can be done to make on the arrangement side to make sure that on the day that you have to finish your project are finished, right? And so when you control, you monitor your tasks and activities, so it means that hopefully at the end later you are not over schedule, you are not delayed on your project. Okay, possibly you can delay some of the activities which is not not on the critical, because we are not covering, because some activity can be negotiable in terms of that and some are not. Okay, that's what I can mention now lah, but later we know on the technical side, on the slack time and everything. Okay, so activity network, critical path. Okay, all right, so with that, that's all for now. Any question, class? Is there any question? No. All right. Doktor ngantuk dah semua dah makan. Hello. Ni dah kira brunch. It's not good for you, actually.
No. No.
Ever heard like your breakfast like a king, your lunch like a rich people, your dinner is like a poor people? Pernah dengar kan? Pagi makan macam raja, tengah hari makan macam orang kaya, malam makan macam miskin. Because in the morning you need the energy, class. In the morning you need the energy. Yalah, because you are not only you have the energy in terms of doing work, but also for your mind. Okay, nice. So that's all. Past 1 minute already. So if there is no question, see you on Wednesday. Yeah.
Doctor, what is the slide that you present
Yoga.
different to
Okay, I
the
will
slide
update
in
that
Putra
one.
Blast?
Thank you for mentioning. Because actually I have 2 different files. Possibly what I upload is not the latest one. I will upload the new slide, the new file. All right, thank you for mentioning. Tak perasan sebab I thought I already did. I thought I already
Alright, thank you,
replaced that
Doctor.
one. All right. So with that, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you get something for our lecture from our lecture
Thank you,
today.
Doctor.
Right. If any other
Thank you,
question, you
Doctor.
can PM me. All right. So with that, thank you so much. Have a nice day. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Doctor.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, Doctor.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, Doctor.
Assalamualaikum.